I'd like to call to order the Reidsville City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 13, 2024. First item on the agenda will be invocation by Dr. Lawrence Cole, pastor of First Baptist Church, 409 South Main Street, Reidsville, North Carolina.
Thank you. Let's pray. Our Lord and our God, we are just so thankful. We do want to come here tonight with a heart of gratitude, just realizing how much you do for us and trusting that will continue into the future. Lord, we look at the world today and we see the suffering of so many people, and it's easy for us to just pass by that and think about our own problems and issues and the things we have going on without lifting up a praise of thankfulness. And so we do just want to open here tonight thanking you for our city, thanking you for this place that we live and so many people who serve the citizens of Reidsville. We thank you for caring for us and just ask that would continue. Lord, we ask you to be with this time. Lord, that you would give wisdom to the leaders, that you would give wisdom to anyone who has business to bring before this group here tonight. Lord, that in everything that we do, that we would love our neighbor, that we would honor you, that we would continue to live in this community together, working together, striving together to make everyone's lives better. And so we thank you for this opportunity here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Could we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda. We have two items. Is there anyone who'd like to have one pulled? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, will you raise your right hand? Thank you. Next agenda item is a public hearing. Consideration of a conditional rezoning request for an undeveloped property located off Reid School Road, Rockingham County PIN number 7994102599246, with a current zoning designation of residential S12 to traditional neighborhood TN. The applicant and property owner is Reidsville Bowman LLC, docket number CZ 2024-02, Enclosure 1, Jason Hardin.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. Tonight we have a conditional rezoning request from Reidsville Bowman LLC. They're petitioning to rezone a recently recombined parcel located off of Reid School Road. This is Rockingham County PIN number 7994102599246 from residential S12, RS12 to conditional zoning traditional neighborhood CZTN. The parcel encompasses a total area of 63.28 acres. There is an existing single-family dwelling that's existing on site. The front portion of the lot, roughly around 200 feet off of Reid School Road, is located in the city's corporate limit, while the remainder is in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, or the plain jurisdiction. The traditional neighborhood district was added to the Reidsville zoning ordinance back in August of 2023 as a floating district intended to allow establishment of 1940s style compact neighborhoods, basically pre-1950s style development with a distinct sense of place and character that are limited in size and oriented toward pedestrian activity. Areas within this district may include a mix of residential, commercial, and civic uses. They are built in close proximity to each other with a connected network of streets, blocks, and appropriately designed facilities for pedestrians, bicyclists, and automobiles. The applicant is seeking to rezone to establish a TN district. They must provide a traditional neighborhood plan, meeting the standards of the zoning ordinance that's reviewed by the city's Technical Review Committee, or TRC, which is a committee of planning, public works, fire department, all these different staff review the plan and approve it based off of the standards in the ordinance. Reidsville Bowman LLC has provided the required TN plan. The TRC has reviewed it, and staff finds that it meets the intent of the traditional neighborhood district. The applicant is requesting residential land uses only for the TN development, including single-family detached dwellings, single-family attached dwellings or townhomes, two-family homes or duplexes. While TN developments typically include a commercial component, the applicant's elected to only do residential for this development in this area, because mainly its location in the Troublesome Creek watershed, which, as we know, has density regulations and built upon area requirements for commercial and non-single-family development. So not a great location for commercial development, so they've decided to forego any kind of commercial or civic use here. So staff does agree with that, since, especially because of the watershed regulations and, preventing commercial runoff into Lake Reidsville, which the Troublesome Creek watershed is built around. That is a good idea to limit that pollution into Lake Reidsville. So we agree with the developer's application on that. Proposed TN plan limits non-single family detached uses to the front portion of the lot, as you can see on the plan that's in your packets. In the section of the development that's not in the watershed, that's where your multifamily is, your townhomes or duplexes, whereas on the back portion, that is single family development. So 2 units an acre is the density regulation for single family in the watershed. So you can see once it gets into the watershed, part of it is just single family. The developer has engaged residents in the surrounding area and has held 2 neighborhood meetings to discuss the proposed project with the surrounding area. During the meetings, residents expressed concerns on Urban Loop Road, and there was a former proposed connection to it. I'll get into former in just a second. Planning staff agrees that the current gravel road is not built to sustain the trips generated by this large development. It's a gravel road. So we worked with the developer, and they have elected to remove that connection onto Urban Loop Road. So there will be no connection coming from the development onto Urban Loop. They have 2 other access points you can see on the north side, coming off of Price Acres, and one going on the Reid School Road. So they meet the minimum of 2 access points required under fire code for more than 100 units. So we've had some concerns about the developer possibly coming back at a later time and connecting onto this, after this is approved. Anytime an access point is added, it has to come back before council. Staff can't approve the addition of an access point that generates extra traffic. So if there was ever another proposed connection onto Urban Loop, it would have to come back before council. So you're not going to see a random connection onto Urban Loop just show up. They would have to come back before council to get that approval. Because that is considered a major change to conditional zoning, which staff can't approve. The property is located in Growth Management Area 5. This is the Conservation District, which covers the area southwest of the city, predominantly for Lake Reidsville. GMA 5 is intended to serve as a buffer between development and the city's water supply. However, it doesn't preclude any kind of development, and low-impact residential is probably the best suited land use for this area. So we find that it meets the intent of the land use plan. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the 2022 Reidsville Land Development Plan, that it's reasonable and in the public interest. Planning staff recommends that the conditional rezoning be approved, and the planning board unanimously recommended that the proposed rezoning be approved as well. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of Jason?
Yes, ma'am.
At any time, if Urban Loop Road was paved and they decided to have that outlet there, would it have to go before DOT?
No, that is city right of way. Urban Loop is city right of way.
Now, I didn't add them up, but how many homes or townhouses will,
I believe it's 167. I can't read. 176. Yeah.
176.
and that's
I-
combined, single family and townhouses?
We got a question.
Sir.
In this one, it talks about the removal of the urban loop road, and then it says this additional access point will require DOT's approval as Reid School Road is state right-of-way.
That's correct.
Did you say they already had that approval for that for the two entryways? I
For the
thought
one,
other day?
so the one on the north side, as you can see on the plan, it has been
Yeah.
removed. So because DOT said no to that one, and they doubled down on it. So yeah, the DOT won't allow that.
So what are we talking about, the approval on Reid School Road will require? So are they needing another requirement since they're,
No. They were proposing another access point at the north side of the lot.
the 2 points on the road?
That's
which that
correct.
got
And
struck down,
NCDOT said no, so they would have to get approval from DOT to add that other access point.
which has already been struck down by DOT.
That's correct.
So those two points will be basically straight across from Sunnycrest and then one coming off of Price Acres.
That's correct. That's
Into
the
the-
two access points that they have proposed. Yes, sir.
All right. And when you were talking about the zoning and the access point off Urban Loop Road, to come back before us, say it's 5 years, 6 years from now, and they want to make that access point, under the zoning application down here, it talks about the development conditions, about the pavement of Urban Loop Road, about 50 going in half and half to get it paved. Would that still apply on this, or would that have to be relooked at again?
No, that would just be despite, whoever's paying it, the developer's paying for it, whoever is wanting to do it down the road, whenever the developer sells it. If there was ever an access point added there, that would have to be amended in the plan. So that would have to come back to council regardless of who is paving it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jason. The public hearing will start at 6:12. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak for the rezoning?
Yes, folks, speak into the microphones, please.
Yeah, my name-
Yes.
My name is Nate Bowman. How's that? Nate Bowman. I live at 205 South Church Street in Huntersville, and I represent Reidsville Bowman LLC. We've started this process over a year and a half ago, and it's been a pleasure to work with Jason and the town to draft this new T&D ordinance and to present this plan to you. I think it's pretty straightforward as Jason presented it. Just some numbers that one of the council members wanted. There are 176 units, 56 are townhomes, 18 are duplex units, and 102 are single family. And of the single family, there are 5 different sizes of single family. So we hope to hit a range of price points. This is not a single development where everybody has a house at the same price point. This is meant to mix and enjoy people at different stages of their life and different financial capabilities. We have 24.19 acres that will remain open, which means there's almost 38% open space. And most of this is bordering a lot of the neighboring properties back in the back that have a pond and have been, perfectly content back there to being next to a farm. So we think that's going to help. And we weren't required to do this, but we have 11.8 acres of tree save. A lot of this is farmland that's hay and that sort of thing, but we've left a lot of the mature trees in the back, and we'll be developing mainly where there's farmland up in the front. And we do plan to hopefully renovate the existing older farmhouse. I'm a history major, and that house has probably been there for 100 years, and it's at the right spot, and it looks great, and hopefully it's the centerpiece for the neighborhood. We haven't decided a use for it. It may be best to renovate it and have somebody live in it who really appreciates that particular location. And again, we do not plan to connect to Urban Loop. The neighborhood meeting, that was a concern, so that's off the books for us. We're a little disappointed with NCDOT. There should be no reason that they denied Carter Ridge Road connection. It's 600 feet between the two intersections, and my son, who has his master's degree in town design, knows that's plenty of distance. So we left it open. So in the future, if DOT changes their mind, or if somebody changes staff at DOT and we're able to convince them during construction, we would go back to Jason, and that would come before you, and we would try to add that connection, because that connection makes absolute sense. But we still feel the majority of the traffic's going to go out the main entry in and out. It kind of is a loop road and funnels that way. So we expect most of the traffic. The secondary on Price Acres is more for emergency use. We don't think a lot of people will be using it. So I'll answer any questions you might have.
I do. I have a question. So going back to your duplexes and townhomes in your houses, one of the things I want to ask you, because this has come up to me before, and maybe probably some of the other council members have had this when we have some development getting ready to take off. One-level homes, or you're going to have a mix of those, two-story and one-level?
The majority would be two-story.
Okay.
And you notice we put alleys behind them, so you're not going to be driving into a townhome with a garage sticking there is the architectural representation. You're going to have a nice architectural two-story townhome, and the garage will be hidden on the alley.
And what about the single-family dwellings? Will any of those be one level, or are most of those going to be two-story?
I would imagine there'd be a mix.
Okay, because the reason I asked that is we've had some concerns about, Reidsville being a retirement destination, and we push that, but it's kind of hard for some of them to locate if they want to downsize.
Right.
And need to move into something that don't have a second story, so it's kind of looking to see if that was on your plans to
We
mix
prefer
that
to
up.
have a mix, so it doesn't look like single facet development.
All right.
I mean, the street scene looks so much better when you have a combination of both.
Right.
That was my question too.
What is the price point? You said they were going to range. I'm just curious. What is the range from what to what?
It's hard to tell at this point. The easiest thing probably, even though it's taken a year and a half, was getting the T&D ordinance and getting it through TRC. The hardest part now is to find a builder in this marketplace. We're hoping interest rates drop, but I would hope that at least the townhomes and some of the duplexes would start in the low 200s. But the cost of development has gone out of sight, and the cost of construction materials. So we want to try to get it as affordable as we can with the townhomes and duplexes. But I assume, the houses towards the back on 80-foot lots, with all that open space, will probably be closer to 400,000.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah. I think you want some of the higher end homes as well, because if you consistently promote low-end housing and affordable housing, that's all you're ever going to contribute to the tax base is low-end, you're not going to help.
That's why we have 5 different types of single family.
Okay.
Yep, that's the goal.
Any other questions of Mr. Bowman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for? We have anyone who would like to speak against? Seeing no one, the public hearing will close at 6:19. What's the favor of council? We have an approved motion that's been written.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to recommend the proposed conditional rezoning be approved for the specified parcel to the request of the zoning district based upon consistency and reasonable determination statements that are included in the council agenda packet submitted during the rezoning presentation, and as many be amended and incorporated into the motion to be included in the minutes.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Can't hear good either.
All right, the next order of business is approval of resolution supporting the Rockingham County Outdoor Recreation Master Plan, Enclosure 2. Ms. Anna Wheeler with Dan River Basin Association and Ms. Lindsay Pegg with Rockingham County.
Well, first, thank you all for having us today. And I just wanted to say thank you all so much for being one of the communities in Rockingham County that's really amazing at promoting your outdoor recreation. So we've been working, well, I'm on a Wheeler with Dan River Basin Association, and we've been working on this outdoor recreation master plan for the past 3 years. This outdoor recreation master plan can be found on Darbo's website under the planning section, as well as each council member should have one as well that I've given to the city. Great, awesome. And if anybody wants an extra copy, I have a few still left at my office in Eden. So great. Well, so about this master plan, as we know, master plans are really important for a roadmap for expansion of anything or, you know, detailed information, as well as for grants. So when you look at a grant application, you usually ask about how long, or do you have a master plan about this? Has there been public input on it? These are things that have already been taken care of in this master plan. As you look through it, it'll have public information notices on it all around, as well as inventories about each throughout the county as well, for river accesses, trail development, things like that. And updating master plans are really important for looking at future funding. So if a master plan has been done 10 years ago, they want to see something a little bit newer when you're looking at especially government grants for projects. So this master plan took us 3 years, and it's a 120-page document about outdoor recreation. So outdoor recreation, we'll hear a little bit from Lindsay as well about the importance of it, but this includes trails, river accesses, anything, you know, outdoor community space involves. So this is, you know, really important because we, like you said earlier, you guys like to be considered a great retirement community, and having a healthy, livable community is really important for us in Rockingham County. We have great assets here in Rockingham County, and it's important for us to, you know, really emphasize those assets as part of our infrastructure when thinking about how to bring people into the community and how to bring our community into a healthier living, healthier living style, excuse me. So all of these have, this master plan has different sections in it. You'll be able to look through it, take your time. It includes a lot in about Lake Reidsville and some trail development. And it also, we can switch to the next one. It includes enhancements. So not only are we thinking about, well, what is an extra trail? We're also thinking about what's, you know, something that we can make it family friendly or more accessible for our community. What can make people feel safer in these areas, you know? So we have things like life jacket borrow stations, water safety check, anti-litter campaigns, you know, just trying to get the whole programmatic side of this really enveloped in this so that it is a community effort and people feel included when they go out to the trail and they're like, Wow, I really see that, the city of Reidsville has done a lot to take care of this place. And I feel like I can get the information that I need to have a safe and fun experience on this trail or on the lake. So all of those recommendations are in this master plan. And we already have a lot of projects from this master plan in the works this year alone. So it's not just something that we want to sit on the shelf, right? We want to keep moving on this, and we want to stay consistent with what we've been doing in the past. Dan River Basin Association is a local nonprofit that protects and promotes the Dan River Basin through recreation, education, and stewardship. So this is us trying to get people outdoors and expand their opportunities to get outdoors and connect with nature, which is part of being in a healthy community. So great, and I think I am going to switch it over to the next one. Yep. Okay, awesome. So Lindsay's going to talk a little bit, and I'll talk a little too.
I appreciate the time. So for you all that do not know me, I am Lindsay Pegg. I'm the Rockingham County's tourism manager. Great partner here in Anna Wheeler with Dan River Basin Association and also with all of our municipalities in the county. Hats off to you, Anna, because a big part of this presentation really is like, why this outdoor recreation master plan? Why outdoor recreation? So a big part of this is like, how do we promote these assets in Reidsville specifically? How do we continue to promote our outdoor recreation assets in the county? So if you've not seen these flyers out there, you can kind of see these now. That we've got a lot of events that are being programmed on the trails. Specifically, we've got some kayak safety classes that Darva's working alongside Outdoor Women, which is Jo Cordia, who has this nonprofit. She's absolutely fantastic. She also, Jo, held classes, if you didn't see those, over the summer at RCC, both kayak and paddleboard classes. Tales on Trails is a program that you'll see out on the trails. The next one coming up is going to be at Smith River Greenway in Eden, and that is through a partnership with Purina and Darva. You had one at Lake Reidsville, the very first one, wasn't it, out there? You have Reidsville Parks and Recs. It's hosting the Color Run again. I was out there last year. It was a fantastic event. It was part of the Year of the Trail campaign. That's happening again this weekend. The Creative Arts Trail is Rockingham County Arts Council that will be hosting that on October 19th. Sorry, all these came after we'd already presented the slides, so sorry. Also, you're going to come, I think what you'll see is like Stoneville's jumped on board with promoting their trails. They're going to be hosting an enchanted trail on a little, like an unknown trail that they have that runs through the town. So I'm working with Resilient Trails Network, me being the county's working with Resilient Trails Network, the town of Stoneville to kind of like promote that trail. So there's lots of ideas that really, it's an asset to your community residents. I think we can all agree. Also, you will be surprised by how many folks come into the county that are from out of state or from Guilford, Forsyth, Stokes, Caswell, Surrey. So these are great programs that really draw in visitors from all over. Another key piece, and if you all were part of, or if you took part in an event last year, the state of North Carolina held what we call the Year of the Trail. 2023 was Year of the Trail, promoting all things trails, hiking, pedestrian trails, biking trails, equestrian trails, paddle trails. We have quite a few paddle trails in this county, and it was hugely successful. And because of that, and out of that came the Great Trails State. So you're going to start seeing this. And yes, Rockingham County, we are part of the Great Trails State. We're in North Carolina, but we're going to take that, we're going to wear that badge proudly. So any of our trail events, use that logo, push that out because that's going to be a state recognized logo. Also, Reidsville hosted last year quite a few Year of the Trail events, and I will encourage the city also to look at maybe hosting an event. It's now a law that the Great Trail State Day will happen the third Saturday of every October. So this coming October 19th will be the Great Trail State. The state is encouraging all counties, all towns, all cities to program something. It could be something small, just like a walk around the neighborhood or your downtown area, or it could be as large as a 2 to 5 mile hike. Anything. I know the Creative Arts Trail will be out at Mayor River State Park. Anna and I are working on something. We need some ideas, so come see us. But it's a great way just to get that state recognition. You're going to find that out about me. I'm super competitive. So I want Rockingham County on the map. I want the state to recognize us. So let's see, I'm gonna keep moving, and I'll talk fast, so I'll apologize. Some other things that have come out of our wonderful county, our municipalities having these wonderful outdoor recreation assets is that we are now we're one of 15 counties or North Carolina partners who are participating in the very first Trail Town program. And what it's going to be, that's through a partnership we have with Outdoor NC. And that Trail Town program, we're going to be in a guide. Rockingham County will be in a Trail Town guide that will be distributed statewide, and you'll be able to see all of our municipalities are listed, and we'll also have some of those key trails, whether it's a cultural heritage trail, a hiking trail, a biking trail, a paddle trail. Those are going to be listed in that guide. And really all that is it's going to help Rockingham County, it's going to help our municipalities leverage their proximity to some of those popular trails. So the trail at Lake Reidsville, the wonderful greenways that you have here in Sherwood and JC. So it's just another one of those incentives that came out of like the Year of the Trail campaign and now the Great Trail State program. So there are a lot of fun things. I always like to show this slide, and because I'm here basically to just kind of help boost this outdoor recreation economy. So what it means, and this was a study from NCDOT, is that for every dollar that you spend on trail construction, so this is forward thinking ahead, looking at putting more trails on the ground, more river accesses, lake accesses, is that for every dollar that you spend on trail construction, that relates to $1.72 in local business revenue and sales tax. So basically, build the trails, people are going to come, they're going to spend money here. Well, I'm going to see. Also, we all know this. I tend not to read my notes, so I apologize. I just go from the cuff all the time. But for us and for the county, for Reidsville, what that means, increased foot traffic in your downtown areas. We want to see that. It means potentially looking at recreation rentals at Lake Reidsville, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, maybe hosting more classes out there, things like that, taking advantage of those resources that you have. Fishing, you have a wonderful asset, Lake Hunt, seeing more permits and things like that. Lots of different resources. Obviously, trails, and while they're important, they provide opportunities for people to connect with nature and move their bodies. And like Anna mentioned this, making that community more livable, more walkable. I know you've heard these things before, but these are all important things to kind of keep in your back of your mind as we start to move forward and we start to kind of press that trail culture, that outdoor recreation economy culture onto the county. So really quick, some numbers. Just so you know, it came out just at the end of the summer. North Carolina tourism economy reached its highest level ever, with travelers spending more than $35.6 billion on trips within the state. The previous record was last year of 33.3. So what does that mean for Rockingham County? Every year, Rockingham County receives a visitor spending report. So we should be getting the 2023 report here soon. Last year, visitors spent $88.19 million in Rockingham County. It's a lot of money. And so what the state does is they break that down into sectors. Food and beverage is going to be usually the largest one where you see a lot of visitors. That's where the largest spending happens. Then lodging, and then recreation. And so what I'm hoping is to see that that money spent in recreation continue to go up. Obviously, I want to see the visitor spending continue to go up as well, or I might be looking for another job. No, I'm just kidding. But we want to continue to see that mark go up, and I think it will, just because of the culture that's being created, because that people want to come here, because it's a unique county. We have all these unique downtowns, these trails, whether it's an art trail. Everybody seems to be working towards what makes Rockingham County unique, and being able to kind of use those assets that we have with our outdoor recreation. Lastly, and this is important because I get asked this a lot. Okay, Lindsay, you're talking about trails, you're talking about river accesses, lake accesses, and like kayak rentals. That means money. Where do we get it? Well, here is where there are available funding sources, and this is where you lean on partners, and I'll talk about who are some of those other partners like DARPA, like Rockingham County. Some of the big funding is going to come from our state. It's easily accessible. Part F is a big grant, the Accessible Park grants, Connecting Communities to State Trails grant. Right now, we are looking at a couple of different grants for the Great Trail State program. That was a grant, that's a funding source that came out of Year of the Trail. So thank you, Great Trail State Coalition, for lobbying at the state level for that funding. It's about $25 million that they're going to be able to disperse this year through the state for just trail-related projects. Land acquisition for trails, trail construction, engineering and planning. Also, another one is our RTP. Anna's very familiar with that. We're working on an RTP grant right now for some trails. That's a good one. And I know that a lot of these deadlines have passed, but these funding sources, or this available funding, or this funding comes up every year for the most part. Here are some more. These are more so your bigger ones, some of your federal ones like Land and Water, the ORLP, NC Land and Water Fund. We were working with the City of Eden on that, using that funding source for land acquisition this year. There's some other ones out there, and I encourage you to, if you haven't checked out the page, Piedmont Legacy Trails, they kind of list a lot more of these resources. So Lindsay, you're probably like, Lindsay, who are those partners that you were referencing? Dan River Basin Association, great partner for the county. Mayor River State Parks, Tall River State Parks. Resilient Trails Network is a new nonprofit in the trail in the county, and they are working on some they're working on some funding right now. Piedmont Conservation Council, your PTRC, your RPO, is a great resource. I'm working closely with them right now. Rockingham County TDA, Great Trails State Coalition, looking at the state levels. Obviously Outdoor and Sea and Piedmont Legacy Trails. I had another one, but it slipped my mind. Rockingham County Education Foundation has a program called Trails K-12. They're another great resource because they're looking to put a trail at every school in the county, and they have been so successful at getting trails on the ground at our schools that other counties are starting to reach out to them, to Trails K-12. So they're like, oh no, come here, come to us in Forsyth, come over here, let's do the same thing. Come to Montgomery County reached out recently. I was like, no, stay here. But no, they're a great friend and great partner, Trails K-12 is. And that's it, so I apologize. So if you have any questions, I kind of tend to ramble and I tend to talk fast, but questions, we'll be happy to take those. If you need my contact information, I know Angela can get you Anna's and she can get you mine as well. So I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Very much enthusiastic.
It's like she
I'm
said.
ready to make a motion just on this presentation.
Anna says that. She's like, you're going to be up there and you're just going to go with it, aren't you? I was like, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, ladies, so very, very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Motion to approve.
I just want to say something, because I know it's about our time to talk. I just want to say I appreciate your hard work. I read through this and scanned through it, and I think for me, it's a good time that this has come out that y'all did because of meeting with the city manager and Representative Pirtle and talking about Lake Reidsville and how we need to do some upgrades and add some amenities out there because I've been hit with it. I know we have a diamond out there in the lake. Also, you mentioned Lake Hunt about the trail and trying to connect everything, which I think of Greenways, we're trying to connect those. It's going to take time. But in regards to Lake Reidsville, as to what we have with camping and boating, disc golf, if we can get the funding and really go in and put what we want, like we mentioned, retirement destination, having something out there for folks to do, whether they're young and they're older. The youth have something to do because we used to have a lot of soccer out there. So I think this is great timing, and I think we'll just get an extra one and provide this to Representative Pirtle so he can take a look at your work if he hadn't got one yet. But I just want to appreciate the hard work, and because this is exactly what I was talking about with the city manager and Reid Pirtle with the city lake, because you talk about what's the draw. We got to have some kind of draw to draw the visitors here, and plus you get the economic boost as well. So I just want to appreciate your hard work on it.
It's true. Lake Reidsville truly is a destination. So I think continue to build on that is key. And you have the Ironworks. You know, Jason the Ironworks is kind of around there. That's that whole river or stream corridor there. And there's property around there. You could develop as trails. We're working with the museum about like what that connection would look like to Lake Reidsville. There is a lot you can do. And I mean, that's kind of what this was about. It's just kind of like open it up a little bit, like what all can you do, and then come to us and like let's brainstorm that out and see what's feasible and what we can go after. Because that's one thing, you have all these funding sources. All right, what checks what boxes?
So you speak a lot about trails, but like he was talking about trying to grow the lake and create a destination for Reidsville. We've actually had some conversations and some 2-on-2s about doing something with Lake Hunt. Is this strictly trails, or can you apply for grants to do work in, whether it be camping or whatever it may be, say at Lake Hunt, that type stuff, expanding those type things, or is this strictly trails because that's mainly what you talked about?
So a lot of what we, like, just because like my organization is focused on like trails and river accesses, like these are mostly focused on that,
So
but
all
there
of
are
these grants are mainly focused on
some
trails?
of those will also apply for park amenities and
Okay,
things like
yeah.
that, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
A lot of them are, like,
The state
park.
yeah, Part F is accessible parks, those type of things also include those type of amenities.
Accessibility and inclusivity are big things right now, so keeping that in the back of your mind as you start to develop out, or further develop out Lake Reidsville and then potentially Lake Hunt as well.
Well, you gotta be able to provide some kind of lodging to create the destination location, whether it be campers or individual cabins built on the lake, that type of stuff, you know, and that's some conversations that we've had about to create the draw, but not only will that create the draw for visitors, it gives people a reason to want to move here, you know, to grow the community. So I was curious about the funding, because we've discussed funding options for that.
Yeah, there are several that you can still go after, and as they pop up, I
So
can.
do y'all assist with that?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
We'll, and if we can't, we'll connect you to who can, like,
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, great questions.
Thank you, ladies.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Jason or Chris. Do we have any idea how many miles of greenway and trails we have in Reidsville?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I can look at our shape files, the GIS system, and see if we can get a number on it for you. But off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure.
I think that would be interesting for us to
We can do some
know.
quick math for you real quick, because we have that in there. We should be able to pull some of that.
Let's get a motion on the approval of the resolution supporting the Rockingham County Outdoor Recreation Master Plan.
Motion. Second. Got it.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay.
It's 10 or 12 miles.
What was it
Based
again?
off what they have.
How many?
10 or 12 miles.
10 to 12, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. Next item on the agenda, consideration of budget ordinance amendment number 1 for $24,000 to repair wood beams at Market Square. Enclosure 3, Montana Brown, Marketing and Economic Development Director.
Good evening, Mayor Gorham, ladies and gentlemen of City Council, Madam Manager. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all this evening. So on June 25th, 2024, the Main Street Advisory Board voted to recommend funds from the Downtown Municipal Service District tax in the amount of $24,500 to be used for heavy maintenance at the Market Square facility located at 303 South Scale Street. The Market Square structure was built over 15 years ago, thus heavy maintenance is required to maintain the facility. In the past, funds from the Downtown Municipal Service District have been used to pay for items such as downtown cameras and parking lot repairs. Reidsville currently generates around $40,000 a year from this tax. As of June 30th, 2024, there is a balance of $93,678.23 available from this tax. In your agenda packets, you can see the proposed budget ordinance amendment. Tonight, I formally request your approval of this item. I greatly appreciate your consideration, as City Council approval should allow the city to complete the necessary work in Market Square. If I can provide any further information, please let me know.
Anyone have any questions of Montana?
I'm just curious of what you're talking about. What are the repairs that need to be made to the wood beams? They need to replace them?
So there is one that we are potentially looking to replace at the front under essentially the Market Square portion. But majority of this is going to be used to clean the beams, essentially, and reseal them.
Okay.
As well as the estimate also included repainting the metal doors there just to kind of give the place a facelift.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
Are there any repairs that need to be done to the actual stage
No, ma'am, not to the actual stage.
or behind the stage, any of that?
Not necessarily behind the stage. We've also received a quote, essentially sort of towards the back form of the stage, kind of where it backs into the green room. Formerly, it appears that someone backed in essentially to the masonry there, and that's work that we've also got a quote in on, and looking to use some other funds for that too.
We didn't have cameras that caught whoever done that.
I don't believe so. No, sir. Not that I know of.
Are all of our cameras working at Market Square?
As far as I know, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, what's the feeling of council on budget ordinance number 1?
Mayor, I make a motion
Go ahead.
that we approve budget ordinance amendment number 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I personally think that downtown tax is perfect for this repair that we need. So instead of it just building up in the account, I think this is a great opportunity for us.
All those in favor? Raise your right hand.
Thank y'all.
Unanimous. Next item on the agenda, consideration of resolution accepting funding, corresponding capital project ordinance amendment, and awarding of professional service agreement to Davis Martin Powell for Piedmont Street and Annie PIN outfall rehabilitation project. Enclosure 4, Chris Phillips, Assistant City Manager, and Josh Beck, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. First part of this outfall project is that the General Assembly actually allocated $1.6 million to this project, which was most of the budget for it. But once we got the money, Department of Environmental Quality actually took a 3% administrative fee. So they withheld $48,000 of our $1.6 million. Well, they were doing 3% fees on a lot of funds that were allocated by the General Assembly, and the General Assembly came back and reduced the amount of fee that they could charge to 1.5%. So we're actually, our administrative fee is only $24,000 of the $1.6 million, meaning that the actual funding we'll receive is $1,576,000. You all had already voted a resolution to accept that funding, but we got a new letter of intent with the new amount. So it's good news, we get $24,000 more dollars. So we need you to approve a new resolution to accept because of the new letter to fund. So again, it's an action you already done, but it's $24,000 more now. So we ask you to do that resolution, and along the same lines, there was a budget capital project ordinance approved when you accepted the money the first time, but now that they're going to give us $24,000 more, that means the city sewer reserves has to put $24,000 less in. So there is a capital project ordinance amendment that shows the state appropriation going up 24, the sewer reserves going down 24. So we ask you to approve that from a budget standpoint as well. That's the first two things. If you want to go ahead and consider those, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Beck.
Any questions of Mr. Phillips? Okay, we have two motions. One on the resolution to accept the funding, and the other on the capital project ordinance amendment. First, the resolution to accept the funding. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Walter says she'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in, if there's no discussion, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Now for the capital project ordinance amendment. Do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you.
I would just like to publicly thank Senator Berger and Reese Porter for this funding, so taxpayers didn't have to absorb this on a citywide basis.
Good evening. Thank you, Chris, for that. So Chris, of course, showed us how we got a little bit more money, and it seems like I'm always spending it, so I guess that works out well. But before you tonight, guys, what I have, so Summer was kind enough to present back in March on my behalf that you guys awarded the engineer recommendation of Davis Martin Powell for this particular project. Since then, both Steve Moran and I have negotiated with DMP and have this contract prepared for you to start the actual design, CCTV, and of course inspections of all the outfalls that are identified in this project, as well as the construction administration. So their total fee is $218,900. I've broken down the various components to that. How do you get to that number? There's of course surveying, GPS of all the structures. There's also, I just want to make sure everybody is aware of this, and one of the reasons we initially selected this outfall, you'll see that it says survey 4 parcels. Our sewer line actually runs under 4 structures that are identified in this outfall. So part of this project is to survey those particular lots and then come up with a solution to move that sewer main out from under that house. I can't explain to you how that happened. Obviously the sewer line was there first, but somehow built upon it, so we want to correct that. Obviously that will ease maintenance in the event something were to happen. A lot of this, though, with the exception of those 4 kind of key areas, will be what we call trenchless improvements, whether that's slip lining or pipe bursting of nature, which we've kind of done in some of the past projects here recently with the CDBGI funds that we've utilized. So I'll certainly entertain any questions you guys have on the contract. Otherwise, we'll be looking for a recommendation of awarding this contract to them so that we can get started.
Mayor, question.
Yes.
So these structures that it's running under are residential homes?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we work with those residents in order to rectify this?
So the process will be, of course, the initial phase of this will be to survey those lots. Then we will work with those individual owners to obtain an easement. That portion of the line at the end of the day will be abandoned, and then we will construct a new line around their property, likely close to property lines, and then, of course, pick it up behind their house or however it might be and in the street so that we can essentially pipe it around their property. So,
do you anticipate any problems working with these residents?
I would hope not, given the situation. You know, we will certainly, very similar as to how we're approaching with the redundant water line, we will go through that process and negotiation with them for the easement. But again, given this situation, if it was my property, I would certainly work closely with the city to resolve that issue. Again, you know, it's not that the city built the line under your house. You somehow built the house on the city's sewer line. So.
Thank you.
What would be the inconvenience to the landowner?
Well, there'll be a lot during the, you know, on those 4 houses. There's, you know, that is going to be your backhoes and your heavy construction installation. The rest of this, though, is very minor in you know, it doesn't, we keep the services going. It's not like we disrupt water service or sewer service. You know, KRG did the last one for us, and very, very minor inconvenience to the property owners. You know, these guys are professionals. They do this all the time. And because it is trenchless, you know, we're not really making major damage to the road. There are some patches where we're putting in new sewer services, which is another nice component. So not only are we repairing the main, but we're also putting in all new sewer services to the property line so that, you know, for many years to come, that is also a non-issue for the city, but really for the resident as well. So, and then of course with new lines, we reduce I&I, which is a big thing that we're always watching. The less water we get into the system during a rainfall event, the less we're treating, the less we're paying to treat.
Any other questions? Is a motion necessary to award the contract? Okay. We need a motion to award the contract to get this work done?
So moved. Second.
Some nights I can't get a motion, and then tonight you get motions everywhere. Get them? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, consideration of a resolution to apply for a state loan for the water treatment plant's whole plant generator project. Enclosure 5, Chris Phillips, Assistant City Manager, Finance.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the water treatment plant generator project is a project that's been in the planning phase here for a pretty good while. And we've discussed it in other council meetings as well. The project was bid out at the end of June, and the bid price received was in excess of the funding that we have. There was a general assembly allocation of American Rescue Plan dollars for this project of $3.2 billion. With the bids that came in and the engineering and the small contingency, this project is now an $8.1 billion project. So we have a $4.9 million gap in funding. We're exploring all different kinds of funding options through loans, working with some other partners on it. But the state actually has loan dollars available right now at about 2% interest. And so really to keep this project moving, what we're asking you to do tonight, we're not asking you to award a contract. We're still vetting the bids and the contract that'll come to you next month. We're not asking you to accept a $4.9 million loan tonight. That'll have to come to you next month if that's the funding that we end up with. The only thing we need tonight is a resolution to apply for the money. So you have to send a resolution to apply along with the application to the local government commission to have the money approved. The local government commission's next meeting is on September 12th, the same day as your council meeting. So we need to go ahead and get this application in, do the resolution tonight, so that that funding is a possibility for this project. A lot of other decisions will have to be made between now and before this project can start, but this is just to keep the project moving. If we don't do this resolution tonight, it puts us a month behind with the LGC, which means the bids will expire. So the project, will not happen. This is just to keep the project going. So again, the only thing I'm asking for tonight is a approval of a resolution to apply, and that's in your packet. But I'll be glad to answer any questions I can about any of that that you may have.
I just think it shows the importance of when we discuss projects like this, so the taxpayers kind of know where we're coming from, where, we had that amount, and then we put the bids out, and now it's that much more. And then it leaves you no option. I mean, we don't like to go backwards in debt, but sometimes it leaves us no option to do what you're doing, trying to seek this funding out, which I know the bids will come up next, and we can discuss that about rebidding, and I'll leave those comments for them. But I think people need to understand, the citizens need to understand that when you're figuring an amount for this type of project, and it's a serious project, and you factor that amount in, and then you get bids come in, and they're that much more substantially high, what do you do? So then you're running as fast as you can to meet this deadline, to try to seek it. It doesn't mean just because we adopted a resolution or approve it for you to seek the funding doesn't mean when it comes in September we have to accept it. I mean, anything can happen, with additional funding coming. But I just think for people to understand where we come from on it, and sometimes you have to seek that funding. Sometimes you have no choice.
Right now, it's one of the only options that we actually have in hand. And if you don't do the resolution tonight, then that would be an option. And the other thing, speaking of deadlines, the original $3.2 million is American Rescue Plan funds. Those funds have to be obligated by December 31st of 2024. Obligated means that you have a signed contract. So, these things don't happen overnight. So, next month will be, a crucial deadline to figure out where this project's going to go. And we don't want to lose the $3.2 million, but at the end of the day, if the project is too expensive, we may be able to bid it and get a better price. We may bid it and get a worse price. Some people think that construction's slowing down and companies are going to be looking for jobs. Some people think, it's going to be even worse going forward. But tonight, again, it's just the resolution to apply, not binding to anything, just to move the project forward.
We have to do what we do tonight to stay in the game, and that gives us some time to maneuver as we work towards that.
I want to say something. So there has been some comments about the water rate increase in the funding for that, and I'll touch, I agree with applying for this loan so that we don't lose the money, and people are concerned, this is kind of off base, but I feel like this ties in for a perfect opportunity to answer some concerns about the water rate increase. There's a lot of projects such as this that require funding that are very expensive, and city manager here has a plan that outlays that. This is part of the water rate increase to pay for this funding because we have not made repairs to our infrastructure in many, many, many years. And so this is part of the reason of the increase in the water rate. Ms. Summer Woodard is going to explain to you guys out here and those that may have the questions in terms of the water rate increase and why that increase is and how we have to pay for these particular projects such as this, so if you don't mind.
Certainly. Thank you, Councilmember Martin and Mayor and Council. And Mr. Phillips is absolutely correct. We look at every funding opportunity available to make sure that we're providing safe, quality drinking water and properly treating our wastewater. The last utility rate increase that the city of Reidsville went through was 4 years ago, which was in 2020. And unfortunately, we have been operating on the same budget for the past 4 years. And any of us, unfortunately now, when you go to the grocery store, I can promise you, I know we all feel it, if you go and buy a loaf of bread or a carton of eggs or milk, you did not pay the same price you do today that you did back in 2020. So in order to make sure that we're providing safe and quality drinking water and treating our wastewater and preparing for the future and accommodating the needs of our residents, it was absolutely to the point necessary to be able to provide these projects. We actually contracted, sometimes you need a second opinion because sometimes we get so involved in data operations that city staff maybe doesn't see long-term. So we actually even hired a third-party company to come in and look at our wastewater and water treatment system and see what needs to be done in the next year, 2, 5, 10 years. And we've got copies of that plan. Our city clerk has this available for pickup, but that's absolutely necessary to ensure safe quality water and wastewater. The project that Mr. Phillips was talking about tonight, that's instrumental. Many of our residents may remember during February of 2021, I believe, we had a large storm come through here. We were on the verge of our generator had completely failed. It was a 1970s model generator. We were very close down to issue, actually I think we did, that was a few months before I got here, a bull water advisory. We want to ensure that doesn't happen again. So that's part of one of the larger projects that we've got to look at fund for your safety. The other one, you've got a large PNR project in your wastewater, that's bionutrient removal. Those are some items that we have to treat and make sure that when we discharge into the rivers, that when it goes downstream, that next customer can pick it up and be able to drink it. So you have to be very, very cautious with that. 2 other large projects is our redundant water line. That's been a project for several years we've been discussing, because unfortunately the age of our infrastructure for our main feed line, or force main I should say, it's over 50 years old. So it's approached its life expectancy. So anytime, especially when we were going through your tropical storm last week, at any time that line could fail. So the city wants to ensure that we have a backup in case that ever does. So that's the necessity of your redundant water line project, which was built into these rates. And then the final project is our headworks analysis, being able to treat what goes into your wastewater. So many times when we flush the toilet, we don't see where that goes. But I'd encourage any resident to come out and talk to our Public Works Department. Go on a tour of our wastewater treatment facility. There is so much information of how that has to be treated from federal and state guidelines to be able to be compliant. Because once you flush, we get it and we have to treat it. And these are projects that have been absolutely necessary to ensure your safety and other members of our community and those downstream from us. So I hope that kind of gives an idea of why this was necessary. And again, we believe in transparency. Every one of these projects, it's going to be the next year, 2, 5, 10 years. You can get a copy up front with our city clerk. If we don't have enough copies, we'll be glad to make them and give them to you. Mayor and council, anything else I could address?
One of the things that I would like to say is, prior to Ms. Woodard's coming here as a city manager, we didn't have that CIP outlook. She was the one who realized that. That's why we have such outdated or antiquated in repairs that weren't made over the years. That's got us into this position where we need such large funding spent at one time or in a short period of time of the next few years. And so she recognized that, and we've created that fix, you know, and hopefully we don't have problems before those fixes are completed. I know no one wants to see that much money spent, you know, and I definitely don't. You do the math on this. If we have to go this route and use this money and we can't find ulterior funding, this is $2 million in interest. But we don't have any other choice, you know, but to do it that way. These rate increases will make the payments on this, you know, is what that's for.
Thank you, council.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion for the resolution to apply for the state loan?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Next, we have our public comment section. Is there anyone who'd like to come before council for 3 minutes? Public comment.
My name is Yvonne Smothers. I'm coming here tonight regarding parking issues.
Ma'am, can you lower the mic? They're not gonna be able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Look, can you speak up just a little bit louder?
Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm coming to the council regarding parking on South Park Drive, heading from Southeast School, heading west to Reidsville High School. There are numerous signs on South Park that say, no parking, bike lane. And I do read the signs, but there is no enforcement of those signs for no parking or the bike lane. So if there's not going to be any enforcement, I recommend that no parking signs be removed from South Park Drive. Also, and I have also talked with the police chief Gibson about my concerns there, and it is a safety concern that I would also propose that an amendment be made to the parking ordinance for the city of Reidsville, that cars be parked in the direction of the flow of traffic instead of pulling in from a different way. What that would require is if I am parked on the street, if I am driving a car or somebody else is driving a car that approaches my vehicle, they should be able to see my tail lights, not my headlights. Because if you only see somebody's headlights, you don't really, especially at night, be able to see the vehicle, which again can cause personal injury to a person or to their vehicle. I am aware that in the city of Greensboro, they have a parking ordinance that you have to park in the flow of traffic. And so I am recommending that an update be made to the parking provisions here for the city of Reidsville, and that would be applicable to any street in Reidsville. Again, it's a safety issue. Thank you for your consideration. Does anybody have any questions or need clarification? I'm going to be back another day, Angela. Questions or concerns?
No, you're not the first person to address this, and we're definitely working on a solution for this, but thank you.
Well, I was told by the police chief it was, I guess, an issue that some people didn't want that enforced. So my thing is, if you're not going to enforce it, remove the signs.
Yes, ma'am. We're working on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to come before council? Public comments. Okay. We've already done the board and commission appointments, and that's been passed down. Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. A couple of updates on personnel just to make everyone aware. So we have filled the position for the Community Development Customer Service Representative. So please stop by and welcome Ms. Claudia Moore to our team. She's originally from Bogota, Colombia. I don't know if I said that correctly. She previously worked as a paralegal in Greensboro for the past 3 years. She has a bachelor's degree in audio visual communication and multimedia. So please stop by and give her a welcome. We're also, the building inspector position is still open. Community Development had interviewed 3 candidates, but had not found the candidate with the exact experience or qualifications. So we reopened that position. We also have just posted the position for the business development manager, and it will remain open for 4 weeks. And then a couple of updates about retirement news. City engineer Steve Moran will be retiring at the end of August. We have contracted with Goodwin Recruiting to help us fill the position of city engineer. They have been provided the job description and list of all of our benefits and overview of the culture of the city. And then also in the police department, Lieutenant Chuck Evatt recently retired, so we want to wish him the best in his retirement. And then just a couple other announcements. In reference to the pickleball courts, the construction of the additional pickleball court will begin the day following the completed renovations of the tennis courts. And I believe those are scheduled sometime in the next couple weeks. So we're working on that. Also, the Parks and Rec gym floor installation is complete, so please go by and see that. And then also our jump pillow at Lake Reidsville, the installation is complete, so lots of great things going on. Mayor and Council, that completes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Woodard. Council members' reports. Ms. Barbara Dejanay.
Thank you, Mayor. On July the 24th, I attended the Reidsville Chamber Board meeting where they had a guest speaker, Ms. Marissa Bryant, who spoke with us on school issues. And I would like to commend the Chamber for the work that it does to support the businesses. They're working hard to develop programs in the area that will help small businesses, and they're doing a fantastic job. On July the 25th, I attended the Annie PIN Foundation celebration for 34-year legacy, transformation, and philanthropy. On August the 6th, I attended the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Jennifer M. Granholm special announcement event that presented funding to Rockingham County. And then on August the 12th, I attended a 2-on-2 with City Hall. That concludes my attendance for the month.
Okay. Councilmember Shannon Coates.
On July 12th, I attended the ribbon cutting. It was held at the Chamber of Commerce for the Carolina Strong Home Improvements. On July 19th, I attended the ribbon cutting at North Star Military. And then on the 30th, myself along with City Manager met with Representative Pirtle on Lake Reidsville possible funding I touched on earlier. That concludes my report.
All right, Councilmember Martin.
I don't have any reports.
Okay. Councilwoman Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, but I do not have a report either.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I've only got a couple of things. On August the 6th, I attended the National Night Out event at Baptist Temple Church. And of course, on August the 12th, I attended the 202 meetings with you and the city manager here at City Hall.
Councilman Hairston.
Mayor, I attended another fantastic, excuse me, National Night Out. The McLaurin Park National Night Out at the BD and the Cambridge National Night Out, Wentworth Street National Night Out, Wright Street National Night Out, and the Ann Rustin Night Out. Great time, great attendance. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. On 7/11, I attended the swearing-in ceremony for a new officer, Mr. Trowbridge. On 7/13, I attended the funeral services for former Council Member Thomas Johnson's son at Zion Baptist Church. On 7/14, I attended the first pastor's anniversary for the pastor of Galilee Holiness Church. On 7/17, I had a planning board meeting. On 7/18, I attended the Historic District Community Watch group. On 7/19, I attended the ribbon cutting for North Star Military Surplus. On 7/25, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Ice Cream Social, where everybody thought I was going to get under the big bucket. It's going to happen before the season is over. 7/26, I attended the swearing-in ceremony for Officer Joyce's son. We made history on that day. We had a father and a son here, and the father pinned the badge on his son. On 7/31, I attended the Reidsville Middle School cheerleaders camp. On 8/1, I had a Kiwanis Club meeting. On 8/5, I attended the swearing-in ceremony of Officer Reynolds. And if I'm not mistaken, Officer Reynolds is a Green Bay Packer fan. So he will definitely get some special treatment. On 8/6, I attended the $7 million grant for energy at Reidsville High School. It's for Rockingham County. On 8/7, met with a representative of the Lucky's baseball team to discuss the future of the team here at Reidsville. And on 8/9, I attended a very special ceremony where we had an opportunity to meet the team for the Reidsville High School football for this year. We met the JV boys, JV girls, cheerleaders, varsity boys, and the varsity girls cheerleaders on that night. And of course, on 8/12, we had 2-on-2s with council members. All right, Miss Diane. I believe I called you Donna last month. And I want to echo Miss Barbara Desjardins' comment. Miss Diane, you do a fantastic job for the city of Reidsville with the chamber, selling this city and making it great.
Sir, I appreciate that. I will be quick. You know, it is our busy time of the year, so we have a lot going on, but I'm trying to just hit the highlights tonight. Our upcoming events, as you well know, we have our 31st annual Golf for Reidsville tournament. When I came to the chamber 13 years ago, it seemed like some of these numbers were so much lower. And now when I look at that and I see 31st annual and 15th annual, it just seems kind of crazy. So, but we're very excited about this. It is sponsored by Impex and the Greensboro Grasshoppers. And we are really excited about, we've got about, the morning's full with 88 golfers, and we have over 50 already for the afternoon. So got a little bit of room if you know anybody that wants to golf. And the last minute scramble. So this person can't, and now this person can't. So if you know people, we have spots. But what I'm really excited about, we've got some other things coming up. I'm trying really hard to coordinate and get things ahead of the 8 ball. I hate that former Councilman Festerin's not here to hear this because he used to give me a hard time. So I have the countywide candidates forum already up and ready. We have another meeting about it tomorrow, but it is on September the 30th at Rockingham Community College. We've had about 13 responses with profile information, but about total I've heard from 15 or 16. So very excited this early on to have that date set and to have so many folks planning to come. I'm excited to be able to educate the community. But we also have our 15th annual Reidsville Everything Expo, and we are rebranding it this year. I left Business Expo and Job Fair for you all just so that you would know what we were talking about, but just know that if you see it in public, it is rebranded. It is now the Reidsville Everything Expo, so it's health, career, and business. We already have all those pieces, and so I kind of wanted to make it more, the name to have kind of a little more explanation of what people can expect. I already have 6 people signed up. So we got that registration out before the golf tournament and felt like that was going to be a really good thing. So it is at the Penn House. I'm very excited about the opportunity to partner with the city. I think we have some cool ideas about city folks and city departments. You guys may hear about this and become part of that plan, but we do hope to have the city kind of spread out over the grounds of the Penn House. Emmy's been phenomenal. Summer's been great. Our team's been great to work with about this. So that is on October the 24th. It will be from 2 to 7:30. It is sponsored by Liberty Tax and Realty One Group Results. And so we are looking forward to that. I hope you all can put that on your calendar now and plan to make it out for that. We do have a ribbon cutting coming up. Angels Do Beauty, if you may or may not know, Jane opened her own salon. It's the itty bitty building. I'll always think of it as India's, I guess, just because that's who was there when I came. But it's the little bitty building across from the city parking lot on Gilmer, and between the two larger buildings, RX Care and the Zellers building. So they are celebrating an anniversary, and they've joined the chamber, so we're going to do a ribbon cutting for them on August the 26th at noon. And USI Insurance has joined, and our next Coffee and Connections will be hosted by the United Way, but it will be at the Reidsville Family Y as one of their partner sites so that we can be here in Reidsville. There's a lot of other really awesome stuff happening. Very excited. I know a couple people have made mention, Barbara's made mention. We are planning to have a forum with Marissa's group. And so there's some things that you will hear about that, about the NC Education Forum. We are hoping to partner with the other two chambers and do something countywide. And we also have some other things that we will make mention of. Summer and her team and I are working on another series and some other events coming up. So hopefully you'll hear more about that as well soon. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. Angela, you want to give us the announcement of board and commission appointments?
We had one recommendation to consider tonight, and that's for the Main Street Advisory Board. The Reidsville Downtown Corporation had recommended Abigail Carter.
noted as the boardwalk taker for the Main Street Advisory Board, and she was unanimously.
Thank you. We're going to move to the first floor conference room for a closed session to discuss a legal matter pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3. We will not be returning to the chambers. I want to thank you all for coming out, and we need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you again for coming out.